I was given a reed, like a measuring rod, and was told, "Go and measure the temple of God and the altar, with its worshippers, but exclude the outer court. Do not measure it, because it has been given to the Gentiles. They will trample on the holy city for 42 months, and I will appoint my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy for 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth. They are the 2 olive trees, and the 2 lampstands, and they stand before the Lord of the earth. If anyone tries to harm them, fire comes from their mouths, and devours their enemies. This is how anyone who wants to harm them must die." And there was given to him a mouth speaking great things, and blasphemies, and there was given to him authority to continue 42 months. These 2 witnesses are symbolized by the 2 olive trees, which signifies that these 2 witnesses are empowered by the Holy Spirit. Anyone that tries to harm them during their witnessing in the 3.5 years will be killed by this power. These 2 witnesses stand before the Lord of the earth, who is the Antichrist, who rules in those 3.5 years. But after the 3.5 days, the breath of life from God entered them, and they stood on their feet, and terror struck those who saw them. Then they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here," and they went up to heaven in a cloud, while their enemies looked on. These 2 witnesses are killed, after they have witnessed for 1260 days, and then come back to life, and are raptured to heaven. At the same time faithful Israel, represented by a woman, is also raptured to heaven, as we are told she will go into hiding for the 1260 days. These 2 witnesses will come around the time the 144,000 from Israel have been raptured to heaven, in the middle of the 7-year tribulation of Israel. And I answered and said unto him, What are these 2 olive trees, on the right of the lampstand, and on its left? And he spoke to me, saying, Knowest thou not what these are? And I said, No, my Lord. And he said, These are the 2 sons of oil, that stand before the Lord of the whole earth. Before these 2 witnesses, called the 2 olive trees, come to the earth, they are in heaven, and we are told that they will stand before the Lord of the earth, who is the Antichrist. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And as they still went on and talked, behold, chariots of fire and horses of fire separated the 2 of them, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. Revelation tells us that the 2 witnesses will be killed. To be able to be killed you must be mortal. The only 2 men in the Bible that have not died and were taken up to heaven alive are Enoch and Elijah. Malachi 4 verse 5 tells us that one of the witnesses would be Elijah. Luke 9 verse 33 tells us Peter thought the other person who was with Jesus was Moses, but he did not know what he was saying. John 21 verse 22, Jesus tells us that he can keep anyone alive if he chose, which he has with Enoch who was born around 3400 BC, and Elijah born around 900 BC. The Gospel of Nicodemus chapter 20 verses 3 and 4, which is a source outside the Bible, tells us that it will be Enoch and Elijah that will stand before the Antichrist.